Hey, welcome to Mullen Stock. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications by hitting the bell so you never miss any of our uploads. And also remember that this is not a financial advice video. So when it comes down to a lot of Mullen investors, they are on the edge of their seats in anticipation of a potential Saudi deal this upcoming Tuesday. So I want to go over some of the latest Saudi updates and what that might mean for Mullen itself. Over and above that though, when it comes down to shorts, a lot of shorts that held their position over the weekend are kind of bold in general, but there was some news that did come out yesterday afternoon or evening that is going to have them on edge a little bit more. So I'm going to go over all that. So starting off, when it comes down to the whole Saudi 2030 vision, they are pumping a ton of money into renewable energy, EV, a lot of different sectors. And there was a conference that I've already brought up, though, the U.S. Saudi Business Council, and that was between May the 21st and 23rd. And coincidentally as well, Lawrence did indicate on one of his Facebook posts that a couple of days prior to this, his team did actually arrive in Saudi Arabia. So of course, is that coincidence? I'll leave it up to you guys to make that determination because I am not a financial advisor. So always do your own due diligence. But when it comes down to this specific conference, it does make sense that Lawrence would be participating, or at least his team would be, because of the energy, the ESS component, and that is basically exactly his technology and what it does Mullen itself. I don't think Saudi would have any interest in Mullen vehicles, the M1, M3 or the M5, just merely the technology. And this is where a lot of people are, just like I said, waiting in anticipation of some Saudi news as well. It looks like there is also going to be a live stream on Monday, and that is going to be for the whole Saudi Special Economic Zones Investment Forum, the 4 new economic zones more specifically. And this is the whole 2030, their bread and butter. This is exactly why they are going to flourish, because they've invested a ton of money into their infrastructure, as you can see right here. So they have rail, they have the port, they have the airport, they have a lot of different of these zones kind of in one area. So meaning everything that is in this bubble for the most part is going to succeed, and it'll have everything at its disposal. So it can have everything on a global scale come to it, or vice versa. It send it outwards. So for instance, this is where it gets a little bit more speculative. So the same individual that did broker, for instance, the deal between Lucid and the PIF is the same one that Lawrence is dealing with. So of course, it is fair to assume that the PIF is going to be the one interested in Lawrence's technology. But at this stage, we don't necessarily know the gravity. Is it going to be for them actually owning the technology? Is this going to be for just licensing? We don't know what aspect, but we do know that roughly it is going to be in excess of $10 billion. So this is where a lot of people are very excited in general. So as you can see, this is where Lucid's AMP facility in Saudi Arabia is located. Where it's being built, I believe Sear is somewhere around here. And so it is fair to assume that most likely Lawrence's technology would be manufactured somewhere in this area. Because when it comes down to it, there was this that was posted recently. So Sear, and conveniently they changed the color of Sear to match Mullen's color. Maybe that's another coincidence, maybe not. But more specifically, Sear isn't what I want to talk on. I want to talk more specifically on Foxconn. I've already done a video on how I feel. Lawrence has signaled that Foxconn is going to be the manufacturer of his technology, because in one of his Facebook posts he did say that the manufacturer of obviously this technology is not going to be from the Middle East. And of course, Foxconn is based out of Asia. So technically it does make sense, and it does have the PIF influence because the PIF does own Sear. And of course, Foxconn did a joint ventureship to create Sear. So it's one of those weird things that it is very speculative. I don't really like to talk on a lot of speculative things, such as obviously these old connection the dots and these kind of crazy thoughts, but it kind of does make sense. But no matter what though, I guess we just have to wait a couple more days until Tuesday does roll around for us to ultimately find out. But if there is that tentative news that does come out on Tuesday, then this is where a lot of people are very excited about the potential price action that's going to happen when it comes down to Mullen, and when it comes down to, for instance, shorts. Shorts have been a pain in Mullen's back for a while. So going into, for instance, on Tuesday there is almost 21% short interest still on the threshold list. I think it's 11 consecutive days right now, 34.15 million shares being shorted. So overall those shorts, especially on Friday, they increased 823,000 shares. They're very doubtful that any news coming from Saudi Arabia is coming. But this is where hypothetically there could be a potential squeeze that does happen. So for instance, if there is news and it is in excess of 10 billion, or even for argument's sake, let's say 6 billion, doesn't really matter if there is a Saudi deal, that is going to prompt a very good squeeze. But there was some news that did come out yesterday, and that is the whole debt ceiling. So of course I think the whole stock market in general has gone down roughly about 10%, potentially even more as a result of the fear associated to the debt ceiling because it was floating around. The fact that if there was no tentative deal, I believe by June 1, stocks could potentially go down in excess of 45%, which was a little extreme, but still, it did have a lot of people on edge. And it does look like they came to a tentative agreement, as what even Meet Kevin did say. So this is a pretty big deal. And so when it comes down to it, there is most likely going to be a fairly good rally come Tuesday for the broader market. So a lot of shorts are going to be losing a ton of money on a lot of their investments. Especially now, if you throw in a Saudi deal that does come in, this is where shorts are going to get very, very burned. So in general, like I said over the weekend, them seeing this news about the whole debt ceiling probably already has them on edge, especially considering as well, this to get posted, it looks like on the 25th. So obviously last minute and kind of unexpected. So once again, things are starting to pile up. And when it comes down to over this weekend, like I mentioned, a lot of Mullen investors are on the edge of their seat, waiting in anticipation of some potential news. So when it comes down to it, we just have to sit tight for another day and a half or so, be it, whenever it is. I do feel that, as I've mentioned, if there is no news that does come out on Tuesday, this is where Mullen's stock price might take a very significant hit, because it might affect Lawrence's whole credibility through the LLC and every other aspect. But of course, I could be very much wrong. Guys, that's all we have for you today. What is your opinion about Mullen stock? Get involved and let us know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching.